Summer Preschool really fast. It was supposed to be Olympics themed, but looking at the sports, there was only like 2 or 3 that probably would have worked. And I was hoping to do like all of the stations or like all of the events be like a whole bunch of different sports that are in the Olympics, a whole bunch of different activities and stuff like that. But with the sports that I was given, I figured we'd kind of switch it up a little bit to make the Olympics theme still work, but not the way I wanted it to. So we're going to be doing stations, but then some of the things at the end of each rotation will kind of be Olympics themed. You'll see what I'm meaning here in a sec. So, for instance, on floor and tramp, there is no tramp and there is no tumble track. Excuse me. So there's no green tramp, there's neither of the blue tramps, and there's no tumble track for any of the stations. Now, you'll do all the stations like normal. Please block off like 5 minutes at the end, 5-7 minutes will be totally fine, where they take turns, showing off some things, whether it's skills in the book, whether it's you give them certain things to do, and it's kind of like a hurrah, look at me type deal, kind of like the Olympics are. So you can have them salute before they go if you want to, and you can have them do it and then they can salute after. Or you can pretty much make up a little routine if you want to. You can have them go straight jump and then jump on your bottom and then straight jump again, and then they can, or another thing that I saw is pretty much what we're doing, except they only took turns on the tumble track. So they got 2 turns to show off their 2 best jumps, and whoever won got an extra stamp. And then that extra stamp got you a sticker at the end. If that's something you would like to do for your class, please let me know. That way we can make sure we have extra like stickers out there. And specific ones that are just for that, or maybe like a little face tattoo, maybe a little prize from up in our what are those called? It's the birthday room, and we have a whole bunch of stuff, small like little things that we could give out. So if that's something you want to do for your class, and you kind of want to make it like a contest like the actual Olympics would be, let me know. If you don't feel like your class would benefit from it and it wouldn't really make too big of a difference whether they got an extra stamp and a little prize or not, that's also fine. You don't have to tell me that. Just let me know either tomorrow or sometime if that's what you're going to want to do. That way we can have the extra stickers or the little prizes out. And you're welcome to do that on all events if you want to. So like at the end of Beam, if there's a station everybody's struggling with, you go back to that station at the end and you're like, okay, this is our show and tell or our contest or our competition or whatever, whoever does this station the best can have their extra stamp, and then vice versa for whoever in that class happens to get it. The only problem we may run into is if one kid keeps winning. So try and make it to where one kid can't win the entire class on all of your little contests that you're gonna do. I didn't really want to make it too specific because I do enjoy seeing all of the different things that you guys do for your classes. So if you would like to do the contest at the beginning, totally fine. You could also do contests for other things, like if you don't want to do them on the events, and you at the end you just want to go back through the stations and you only want to show one. This is also to kind of help you get any last minute little skills checked off, anything you need to see if necessary. But another thing you could do is like whoever the best listener is during our one event, they get an extra stamp and they get a prize, or they get to have an extra jump in the pit once everybody gets out, something like that, or they can jump in the tumble track one more time afterwards, things like that. And then that will also help you to try and keep them in line. When things are a contest, especially for the little ones, they're going to try a little bit harder because they want whatever you're offering. So you can kind of do what you will with that. If you need any ideas or specific things, please don't be afraid to reach out and ask. But specifically for floor, where we're going to start, no tumble track, no trampoline, no any of the trampolines until all of the stations are done and there's only like 5-7 minutes left. You're welcome to do all of the trampolines if you want to, and everybody take a couple turns on those, or you're welcome to do one of the little contest things. You don't have to freak out and do both. You're welcome to pick whichever one you'd like to do. But I felt like this was the easiest way to kind of incorporate it all together because it was not working how I wanted it to. So on floor and trampoline, on the wedge, yellow's going to do log rolls, green is forward, and red is backward. There's a big panel mat over here on the side. Yellow's going to do forward rolls to stand up on the floor, so they start on the panel mat, and then they roll on the panel mat, but their feet will land on the floor, so it's easier for them to stand up. And then red will do, oh no, I lied, sorry, green will do kicks to handstand and their feet don't touch. Their arms start and end by their ears. Please make that a point to them, and try and get them to get that down. And then red will do cartwheels, hands start on the box and end facing up by their ears, and their feet are going to land side by side. So instead of landing in a lunge, it's going to be a little bit easier for them to land feet side by side as if they're standing up normally. And it'll be a little bit easier for them to kind of get the kick-over part if they start with their hands on the panel mat. So instead of starting with your arms up, you're going to start with them on the panel mat. They're then going to kick their feet over and land one foot right next to the other, and then they'll stand up with their arms. Cartwheel block. Yellow's going to do cartwheels. Their hands start on the box and facing by the ears. Green will do cartwheels, hands start and end by the ears. And then for green, really try and work on ending the way that you came from. So a lot of them like to face the way that they're going, and they never turn back around fully. So try and get them to face the way that they came from is the concept we're going for. And then red will do cartwheels, hands start on the box and facing up by the ears, and then feet land side by side. So same thing, it's just on a different surface. If they're ready for it, because the panel mat's a little bigger, you can have them start with their arms by their ears, or if it's easier, they can put their hands on the panel mat and they can kick over and they can land both feet at the same time like a round off. So those are kind of your two options for that one. On the springboard, they're going to do a tuck jump off to SLP for yellow. Where are we at? Star jump for green to SLP, and then red will do a jump and then try and spin all the way in a circle and land in SLP. On the yoga mat, green and yellow will do tabletop bridges. I say green because some kids still can't do bridges in green yet. So they're welcome to do tabletops if they for sure cannot do it with your spot in green. But yellow is doing tabletops. Green, they're welcome to do tabletops, but they are doing bridges also. You can spot them to get their head up off the ground if need be, and if they can't hold themselves up, you can have them do tabletops. But if they can hold themselves up once you get them up off their head, then they're totally safe. Just make sure you kind of help them come back down if they are starting to land on their head. And then red will do bridges, trying to rock back and forth, so trying to keep their hands and feet from moving, but rocking back and forth. And then on the mailbox that's holding up the iPad, they're going to do feet on the mailbox, everybody's going to start feet on the mailbox, hands on the floor, upside down in a pike. So hands on the floor, feet on the mailbox, in a 90-degree angle, in a pike. Yellow is only going to lift their favorite leg up in the air and then put it back down, and they're just going to do that leg as many times as they can before they have to come down. And then green is going to alternate, so one leg and then the other leg, then one leg and then the other leg, as many times as they can before they need to come down. And then red is going to do spotted back bends over the mailbox. You may not have to spot them depending on how tall they are. All they're doing is just standing, try and have them watch their hands until they land on the mailbox and then put their hands on the ground. But that's what that is. So, and then like I said, at the end, go back, do the actual trampoline and tumble track stations however you feel you'd like to do them is totally up to you, as long as it's organized. That's all I care about. On beam, you're going to do long jumps over the scarves for yellow, bear crawl forward and backward, cartwheel drill over the beam with, there's 2 little circles for their feet to start and end on. On the carpet beam, they're going to hold an arabesque for 5 seconds on each foot. On the high beam, they'll walk forward, balancing the pit block on their hand. And then the extra station will be on the Bosu ball, and they're going to try and balance on it, just standing without holding onto the wall. Green's going to do 1 foot jumps over the scarf, inchworm forward and backward, cartwheel drill over the beam with spots for feet to start and end on. Their feet stay together the whole time. So yellow, they can bring their feet apart if necessary. Green can do feet together. On the carpet beam, bend and touch the pit block to the beam on 1 foot, walk sideways balancing the pit block flat on their palm, and then balance on the Bosu and try and spin in a circle while they're standing on the Bosu ball. It works your balance extra in your brain if you are moving and losing sight of something, so green will be able to do that. I'm not sure about yellow. Then Bend and touch pit block to the beam on one foot is a lever. I figured that would be easier to say. Red will do leaps, landing in arabesques over the scarves, forward rolls on the other beam, and then spotted handstands on the softer beam where the cartwheel drill is. That one, some of them may be willing to go for it, but it may not be the best. But please make sure you're spotting it so they're learning it the right way. I know that this is the last couple weeks of class, but again, letting things slide that are not up to standard is just going to hinder them in the future. So please make sure that if it says spot, you spot it, and we don't just not spot it. If you don't know how to spot something, or you're not comfortable spotting something because you're not sure if you're doing it the right way, just check with me to make sure that we're doing that the right way, or any of the other coaches. You don't have to come directly to me. They know what they're doing. So that's always an option also. And then on the carpet beam, they're going to do pivot turns both ways, not just one way. And then on the high beam, walk backwards, balancing the pit block on their palm, and then balance on the Bosu ball on one foot. And they're going to try and balance on one foot for 10 seconds each. If that's too easy, have them close their eyes while they balance on one foot. On the bars for yellow, they're going to swing in a tuck 3 times on the rings. On the high bar, they're going to swing in a tuck 3 to 5 times. On the uneven bars, it's the wedge drill, so walk their feet up and then walk their feet back down. So hang on to the low bar like you're going to do a chin-up pullover, and then while you're standing there with your chin above the bar, they're going to walk their feet up and then walk them back down. Green is, why did I just do that? Pullover drill with the bucket and the object. If you've coached rec before, that is the same station. They lay on their back with their chin over the bar, and then they use their feet to grab the beanbag, and they put the beanbag all the way over their head into the bucket. If you haven't, that's what that is. There's a wedge. It's going downhill, so it's easier for them to lift and go over their head. So they'll lay on their back, they'll put their chin up to the black bar, and then they'll lift their body up and over with the beanbag in their feet. Their body stays on the ground. Nothing should ever lift fully off the ground to do a pullover. Sometimes kids get confused and they try and full-blown do a pullover on this small little bar. This bar is not, it will move. It will fall out from underneath them. So make sure that every part of their back and their neck is on the ground when they're doing this, or on the wedge mat when they're doing this. Their butt and their lower back will come up, but make sure their head doesn't move and they don't start to try and actually pull over. And then drop the beanbag in the bucket and then do it again. Jump to front support, holding the object in the feet, which is a beanbag, and then hang toe straddle on the bar. Green will do forward and backward rolls on the rings, walk their feet up the green wedge. So the wedge will then, for green, go to the rings, and that pullover drill will be without the wedge, so it's a little bit harder. Forward and backwards, they can walk their feet up, so it's easier to kick over. Backwards, they can walk their feet up backwards while they're leaning forward, so it's easier to kick over. That's why we're using the wedge. That way they don't do it on the ground. If they have it on the ground, that's totally fine. You don't have to use the wedge. That's totally up to you. Then, where are we? Oh, jump from the mat and swing 3 times. They don't have to swing in a specific shape, but there is a higher mat up there. That way they should be able to jump by themselves. Same thing, walk feet up the wedge and then try and lift a foot up and kick over. So instead of just walking their feet up and back down, they'll walk their feet up and try and kick over. They may not be able to go all the way over and land in front support, but they can at least try and kick over and be upside down and then come back down if necessary. Pullover drill with the bucket, same thing, there's no wedge on that one. The wedge goes to the rings. Jump to front support, forward roll, and then hang on the bar in a pike with their toes. Red will do forward and backward rolls. There's no wedge on that one, so we're going back to no wedge. Tuck ups on the high bar, 3 in a row, so knees to belly, hanging there. Try not to swing while they're bringing their knees up. If they can do more than 3, totally awesome. On the unevens, they're going to do walk their feet up the wedge and kick over to pull over. So they're going to try and kick over and end up all the way in front support instead of just ending upside down. The pullover drill with the bucket and the object. So red does not use the wedge at all. There's no wedge for red on the rings or for the pullover drill. The only pullover drill that uses the wedge is yellow, and the only level that uses the wedge for rings is green. Red has neither. Jump to front support, cast and push away to SLP, and then jump toes on the bar and swing in a straddle. If it's hard to put both feet on there at one time, you can have them start standing with one foot on the outside like this, and then they can jump and put this other foot on the outside. But that is all we have for preschool. Again, contests kind of thrown in there however you feel necessary. If you'd like prizes to pick from when you're done with your class, let me know. I'll put together like a little bucket for you. Extra stickers, let me know. But I'm very grateful for all of you and all you have done this summer. I'm gonna try not to get, I'm not gonna get emotional, but the gym has been through a lot, and every year, especially right before school year, it's kind of full circle. And I'm very glad that all of you are here, and I'm very glad that you all have chosen to work with us. I love our gym. I love all of these people. I love all of these children. And I'm glad we made it through another summer. We're almost there. We can do it. So since we have this set and then there's one more, this will be 2 weeks, and then there's one more week. That one I'm still debating on what to do. If there's actual lesson plans that you've liked for specific events, let me know, and we may go back and do those. Or I may decide to go back and pull from the vault from last summer, or the past school year, and see if there's some that we can do. I may completely change it up, and we may not necessarily test, but we may do a lot of showing. It may be like a showcase fun thing type deal for their last class before the school year. Excuse me. But the rec ones will be out tomorrow morning before classes start. Callie and Allie will be in here. I'm going to have them do those with me for the rec stations. The rec stations will be set up, all of that fun jazz. So all of this will be sent out here in a second, and then the video will be uploaded. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. School year, there's going to be some things changing. Some of the skills are going to be different. The skill sheets are going to change for the rec side, but I did want you guys to know ahead of time that some things will be different on skill sheets on the rec side, just because I know most of you do both sides, or at least have subbed both sides before. I'm not really going to change the preschool one. I've debated it, but I feel like we need to do the rec one first. And then the preschool one, so I may change the preschool one start of summertime, but I want to do rec first because there's a lot of things that I want to be different. Our staff meeting will be here soon, so if there's any questions you're going to have on how lesson plans are going to work, how skill sheets are going to work, anything new that's changing, any different ways we're going to be doing things, you'll be able to, ask those questions then, and I'm going to do my best to explain everything upside down and sideways as best as I can so there is no questions, but I did want to give you a heads up ahead of time. That way it wasn't like thrown at you and you're like, oh my god, what's going on? But again, thank you so much for all that you do. I'm very grateful for all of you, and I hope that you enjoy the last couple weeks with your children. I know that some of you may have them again in the fall, but I know most of you may change who's in your class. So be extra fun with them these next couple weeks. Be extra, encouraging. Let them know how glad that you are that they're in your class, that you got to be their coach. Take some time, maybe write them a little note, give them a couple more high fives than normal, make them excited to come back, because they do have a little bit of break before they come back, and we want them to be excited. So I'm going to stop yapping again, and I will see you all tomorrow or Tuesday. Again, let me know if you have any questions. The rest will be out for rec tomorrow morning before classes start. I think that's it.